Oh, I wondered whose that was.
There we go. They'll read.
Okay, we're going to call to order the Fountain Lake Board of Education special meeting. And we have a couple of motions. Corey, if you want to read what's actually, you want to read the first motion?
First one.
Just read the first one.
Motion to accept the letter of resignation from the personnel below for the correlating position. Robert Henderson, high school teacher and assistant football coach, effective September 2nd, 2019.
Okay, so, what's the plan there?
Sure, as far as instructionally and what we'll be doing, in the discussion with Mr. Campbell and Mr. Baxley, as far as the assistant football coaching position, there's no intent to replace that. We don't have anyone else on staff currently that would be qualified to assume that role.
Okay,
So the staff that was originally of 7 will be at 5 because Coach
Okay.
Barberie left the staff. You had 7 coaches. This will make a coaching staff of 5.
okay,
As far as the instructional components, Coach DeArmond is a certified science teacher. And so they're looking at allowing him to teach the science classes, and then we pursue a paraprofessional to do the distance learning with the hub classes. And so that's that's kind of what we will be looking at. We don't have any recommendations tonight other than first accepting the resignation and then determining what those next steps will be. But what I've just framed is kind of what they're thinking.
okay. Can I ask, when did you know about that he was going to resign?
You know, we in the process, we had initially met with all coaches. Then we met, when I say we, the athletic director, Steve Campbell, as well as the high school principal. We met with all coaches individually and had all of those discussions. And then on Monday, we met with yesterday we met with 9 students, I believe, that were participants on the team. Following that, we then approached...
Current participants or some of those that had?
I think one that maybe had quit, or 2. We tried to meet with 2 that had left the team, and
Okay.
then...
And then some of the current?
Yeah. So I asked that they meet with roughly 10 individual students, and we asked them specifically their perception of the program, what types of communication did you receive. So I wanted them to address communication with not only students but also the parents. We wanted the students to respond as well to did the student athletes know the consequences, really what were the expectations within the program. And so every student was asked a series of questions in that regard consistently among all students. And then that we then discussed, they kind of recorded the responses, and then we reconvened as a group. As far as we didn't receive a resignation letter from Robert Henderson until today.
Okay.
We made an announcement with our next step, visiting with Coach Shelton yesterday afternoon. We met with him, and then following that process, we wanted to give him the evening to continue to reflect. We met roughly at 7:30 this morning, reconvened all the coaching staff along with Coach Shelton with the announcement that we had chosen him as the head coach, allowed for all the coaches to then have some discussion together, and then Coach Shelton met individually with all of the assistant coaches today. Roughly at, Mr. Campbell, when did you receive that letter?
The actual letter about 2:15 this afternoon.
Right.
Now, word had gotten to me at probably about noon with the decision that he had made this decision. And you have a link to
We do. Mhm. I think most everybody's read it, yeah.
The-
Go ahead.
I'll try to explain the effective date associated with that. I think that assists him as an employee to kind of have health insurance coverage, is kind of the rationale behind
Okay.
that. That's not a magic date, but it gives him some time to remain on the payroll. We'll put him into, basically, his role will shift with Coach DeArmond's is what we're kind of thinking, and then get someone trained to take over that role in the alternative learning environment in the hub. So that's kind of what we would be doing in the transition process over the next couple of weeks. But I believe that was the rationale that was given to me on the effective date.
Okay, board members, do y'all have any questions? And I'll just remind board members that if we do have questions that are specific to the person, we can't discuss those in open session, but you are free to ask for an executive session if you have more specific questions on this motion or any other that we have. So at any time, if you feel the need to have executive session because you have very specific personnel questions,
Right.
then feel free to jump in, okay?
All right, I'm jumping in.
You are?
Hmm?
Okay.
So you like,
You have some specific,
Yes, I do.
okay. Can we just adjourn to executive session for just a few minutes?
Mhm.
And we will do that and be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Taking my drink.
Okay, we're going to reconvene from executive session. Hopefully all board members have had their questions answered, and we have a motion on the table to accept the letter of resignation from the personnel below for the correlating position, Mr. Robert Henderson, high school teacher and assistant football coach, effective September 2nd, 2019. If there's no other discussion, all members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any members opposed, say aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
And Cindy, Ms. Herring is going to abstain from the vote. All right, board members, the motion carries 3-0. We have one more motion, if you'll read that for us, Corey.
Motion to hire Kenny Shelton as the intern head football coach for the remainder of the 2019-20 school year.
Okay, so the motion is to hire Kenny Shelton as our interim head football coach for the remainder of this school year. Are there any questions or comments concerning this motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. The motion carries 4-0. And our meeting is adjourned.